Canada's strategic shift, what it means for Ukraine, Europe, and the US. Welcome back to LCC News. Today's episode explores a quiet yet significant shift in the global order, a change that may reshape how Western allies operate in an increasingly fractured world. We're talking about Canada's emerging pivot away from traditional alignment with the United States and toward deeper, more strategic ties with European allies. From billions in military aid to Ukraine, to participation in multinational defense initiatives with Europe, Canada is charting a new course, one that raises major questions about the future of global alliances, burden sharing in NATO, and what happens when a long-standing US partner starts asserting its independence. In September 2024, at the Ramstein airbase in Germany, where Allied defense leaders routinely meet to coordinate support for Ukraine, Canada made headlines. Defense Minister Bill Blair announced that Canada would donate over 80,000 surplus CRV-7 rocket motors and 2,300 accompanying warheads to Ukraine. These rockets, previously destined for disposal, were now being repurposed to aid a sovereign nation under siege. This was more than a military donation, it was a symbolic and strategic gesture. By transforming military surplus into strategic aid, Canada signaled its commitment to Ukraine, but also its willingness to act independently on the global stage. What made this move even more remarkable? The unusual level of bipartisan support behind it. Pierre Poilievre, leader of Canada's Conservative Party, typically a fierce critic of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, supported the decision wholeheartedly. In a speech, he asked, "Why should taxpayers fund the destruction of useful munitions when we can send them to help a democratic ally in need?" That sentiment resonated across party lines. In an era where political polarization dominates most Western democracies, Canada's unified stance stood out and underlined a growing national consensus that helping Ukraine is not just an act of support, but a matter of long-term strategic interest. In January 2025, Canada announced a major new package, $440 million CAD, roughly $325 million USD, in long-term military assistance to Ukraine. This package included $200 million for munitions under a Czech-led initiative, $100 million to help Ukraine build domestic drone production capacity through a Danish coalition, $64 million for high-resolution surveillance cameras, $30 million for winter combat gear like sleeping bags and insulated clothing. This goes far beyond emergency aid. It's a commitment to helping Ukraine not only survive, but rebuild its own defense industry for the future. What's really happening here? Canada's growing collaboration with European-led initiatives is no coincidence. In a world where US foreign policy is often delayed by domestic gridlock, allies like Canada are no longer waiting for Washington to lead. Instead, they're forming deeper operational ties with each other. Canada's contributions to the Czech, Danish, and NATO-wide efforts illustrate a broader pivot, not away from the US, but toward a more diversified, autonomous defense strategy. It's about building resilience across the alliance, so that if one pillar falters, others are strong enough to hold. So what does this mean for America? First, Canada isn't abandoning its alliance with the US, but its moves signal a new phase in Western geopolitics, multipolar collaboration, where smaller but capable partners act more decisively and independently. At a time when Congress continues to debate additional aid to Ukraine, and as internal divisions stall foreign policy, Canada's rapid decisions have drawn contrast. This could serve as both a model and a challenge to American leadership. The message is clear. Western allies won't wait forever for consensus in Washington. Europe has welcomed Canada's deepening role. In Brussels, Canadian officials have been actively engaging with European defense leaders, coordinating through NATO but also through ad hoc coalitions focused on rapid response. Canada's diplomacy has evolved from America's partner to Europe's bridge to North America. This strategic flexibility, acting in harmony with Europe while maintaining transatlantic bonds, could shape the future of Western cooperation. What can other nations learn from this? Canada is showing that leadership doesn't require being a superpower. What's needed is political will, strategic investment, clear moral alignment by leveraging unused military assets, engaging in creative diplomacy, and supporting technological self-sufficiency for Ukraine. Canada is redefining how middle powers can lead. This shift comes at a time when authoritarian states are testing the unity and resolve of democratic nations, and Canada's assertive role is helping hold that unity together. In conclusion, Canada's recent actions tell a bigger story than just military aid. They reflect a new template for allied cooperation, one that doesn't rely solely on US leadership, but shares the burden more equitably among trusted partners. This could prove essential as the world navigates an era of complex threats, from regional wars to cyber attacks to disinformation. For Ukraine, it means sustained hope. For Europe, it means a dependable transatlantic partner. For the US, it means a prompt to recommit to its leadership role or risk losing ground to its own allies. Thanks for watching this episode of LCC News. If you found this analysis insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay up to date with how global events continue to unfold. We'll keep tracking Canada's evolving role in the world and how this quiet giant is helping shape the future of global stability. Until next time, stay informed, stay critical, and stay with LCC News.